There are no sense in putting this off any longer. Is this working? What's up? This is Dave. This is What's Up Dave, which is my daily stream where I catch up with my friends on the internet, let them know what I'm up to, talk about projects and other things that are on my mind. Today is Thursday, November 30th, the last day of November, I believe. And I believe it's the last day of NaNoWriMo, National Novel Writing Month. So hopefully all you Rhymos have gotten your thing done and are going to win. And I don't know what the prizes are this year for NaNoWriMo. When I did it in 2012, I think one of the prizes was like a discount off of Scrivener, which was, I guess I just updated that too. Anyway, blah. What are we talking about today? Today was a good day. Let me switch to the chat view, and I wrote down what I'm going to talk about. Oh, today I was at Starbucks at 5:45, or actually I think it was more like 6:30. I was up at 5:45 a.m., which is super unusual for me, because usually I'm a night owl. But last night I was hanging out with a new friend, and we were just talking for a long time, and I was like kind of exhausted but happy, and just fell right asleep instead of just staying up, mindlessly clicking on Facebook, looking for something interesting. So I guess maybe community contact with people is like a good part of getting a good night's sleep. Who would have thought? Plus, having the bedroom all organized again after Dad's visit. My dad, when he was visiting for the month, I gave him the master bedroom, and I'd clean it up so it was like a little apartment. It's kind of messy again already, but it's much nicer than it was before. Before there was just junk all over the place, and it was really cluttered. But now it's actually kind of comfortable to sleep in. It kind of makes me wonder what will happen if I move the PC up into the bedroom temporarily, because I still haven't done set up the TV, which is like still, you can see it behind me over there, because I need to clear off this space so I have something to put it on, because it's going to go behind all this stuff over there. So this is the PC over here. I'm going to move that upstairs temporarily until this card I ordered comes in. And we'll see where it goes from that. So what did I get done at Starbucks? Well, I was working on my new blogging system, which is going to be a static site generator, which takes a bunch of source text files, processes them in the way that I tell it to process, and then create a whole bunch of static HTML files that I can then upload to my website. Or my web server, I should say. Currently, I'm using WordPress, and WordPress is a fine system as far as if you just want to get writing done. But it's also kind of a bear to administrate. Well, let me rephrase this. WordPress is fine to administrate because it's pretty automatic, but every time you go to your WordPress site, it is reminding you to administrate something. So when I feel like writing, this moment I go into WordPress, it just hits me with like all these security alerts and like, this person's trying to hack in, and this was blocked, and did you back up your database, or there's plugin updates that are available, or like WordPress has a new version. And it just knocks me right out of the mood to actually produce content. It kind of sucks, and it took me a long time to realize that this is really what I disliked about WordPress. It was constantly distracting me with like chores, and by switching to my own system, I will gain some security through obscurity. Not maybe the best thing to do, but I also will be uploading static HTML files and not be running any dynamic scripts on my web server anymore, which significantly reduces the exposed hackable footprint of my website to the existing operating system and patches, which is better handled by the ISP than me, theoretically. The less software I'm running, the less I had to worry about actually worrying about server administration, which is something I don't like doing. I'm cursed with the ability to understand just enough that I can do it with myself, rather than just actually like sucking it up and hiring someone to do it. And then most of the people that I would want to hire, it would probably cost $250 an hour to hire. So I'm feeling kind of stuck on that. But anyway, let me go forward to number 3, which is a mic amp. I don't know if today you're noticing any difference between the way that this microphone sounds. I have the gain turned all the way up. and it might even be clipping, and it's not really great sounding. This microphone should sound a lot better, and so I bought something that's called a what is it called? It's called like a mic adapter. Basically, it's the way a microphone works. There's a few kinds of microphones. This is a condenser microphone. It essentially uses a electrically charged diaphragm that, as the diaphragm moves because of the pressure waves from your mouth, it creates minute differences in the distance between this electrically charged plate and a reference plate. That change in distance creates electrical impulses that can be measured, and these correspond pretty directly to what you're to the sound it's recording. However, because the electrically charged plate itself is like pretty minimal in terms of the signal level. So you need something called a preamplifier, a microphone preamplifier, to take that really tiny signal and boost it to levels where it can actually be picked up and recorded by whatever recording gear that you have. And so, like, as opposed to, like, do I have this right? I might have this backwards. There's other types of microphones called dynamic microphones. That might be what I'm thinking of. Anyway, this is a condenser mic, but the levels coming out of the condenser mic, they're usually high enough to put through a regular mixer preamp, but for some reason I don't think this one is working really well with it, and I would really like to have more amplification. The alternative would be to buy a more expensive mixer, I think, but I don't want to do that, and so I bought this $50 knockoff of a oh, damn it, cat! The cat's switching scenes on me. What's it called? Let me look at Amazon real quick to see what this thing was called again. Let me check my orders. It's not here yet. So this is an interesting. This will be a test of why does Amazon keep asking me to sign in again? What's wrong with you guys? Something's weird. It's been asking me doing this all day. Maybe it's a time for. Yeah, I ordered this thing, an SS1 microphone preamp, which is from this company, I think in Utah, called Simply Sound Company. What this does is, on one side, it gets phantom power from the mixer. This is ordinarily used to power certain kinds of microphones. And then the microphone input itself is amplified using this power that it's getting. So I guess it's used for, like, dynamic mics, which need some kind of amplification, because maybe that's the kind of microphone I was thinking of. Condensers have a charge. Dynamic microphones, I think, just have like a magnet or something like that, and a magnet moving in a coil, and that produces a very tiny voltage variation. I should look it up. But there's a variation of this thing called a cloud, this thing. This is $149. And this was tempting to get because it's highly rated. But I'm going to take a chance on the $50 one because this thing costs more than my entire mixer. And I just want to boost the gain of this microphone just enough, you know, just so I can maybe get a better sound out of this. Yeah, so that's what's going on with that. We talked about making friends. You know, making friends when you're older is difficult. And I think the general way that people make friends, we had a discussion about this yesterday with, like, said new friend, that, you know, like, for me, there's a kind of etiquette that's involved, and you're trying to figure out, you know, like, you know, whether or not you are friends. So I had a strong sense that we would become friends just from, like, having previous casual interactions, and, you know, so there's certain, like, you know, ways of speaking, ways of talking, you know, that just seem to be more resonant. And usually I think what happens when you're in school, you just sort of, like, get to know someone over, like, a semester's worth of observation, of overheard conversations. And so when you're an adult and you're trying to make friends, you still need to be in that situation, or you need to take a chance on somebody. I'm not the kind of person to take a chance on people usually, but I guess I have evolved, like, not exactly an interview process, but like a set of tests that I kind of run internally. They're kind of like the tests I run on myself, the simulation of my personality, so to speak. So one of them is like to see whether or not that person really is speaking from the heart or not. Or are they presenting me with a kind of facade? If they're not presenting me with a facade, I'm more likely to open up to them as well. And I will open up to people in general, and then I'll kind of read them to see how comfortable are they with this type of conversation. Because I'm not very good at having superficial conversations. Says, oh, how's the weather? Oh, those are nice tires. She says, you know what a good tire is? Goodyear, that's a great tire. I was like, yeah, tell me about your Goodyear tires. Like, oh, I used to have a car that had a pair of blah, 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 blahs on them. And it's like, oh, I would rather not. But I'm more interested in saying, if someone said that they liked hot dogs, but they didn't like hot dogs with a certain kind of pickle, that piques my curiosity. Why hot dogs, and why that kind of pickle? What is it about that pickle that offends you so? So, and I guess I like getting more into the details of, personal preferences and proclivities, that aren't couched in hate. There's some people who just like to hate on things, and I'm not on board with that kind of energy. But people have opinions, even if they're especially maybe if they're non-mainstream opinions, if they go against common wisdom, but they're considered and thought out. That to me is a sign of intelligence, and that is a baseline with which I can live. So it's great if I can find people who, they may, march to the beat of a different drummer, or they have beliefs that are out of style. I have several really good Christian friends, and I'm a kind of a lapsed Christian. Their whole family is missionaries, ministers, academics, professors, PhDs in religion. So I grew up surrounded by Christianity on the high level. And I kind of got tired of it when I was younger, but I can at least understand the lingo. And culturally, I guess you could say that I understand Christianity, even though myself have lapsed in wondering what it really means. Particularly, I would say the mainstream ways in which it's practiced on the surface and not with the heart. But I get along fine with lots of I would regard them as much more devout Christians than I. Whereas other people may not, and even though could be coming from different places, I'm perfectly fine believing what they believe, or believing that they believe what they believe, and that they're good people at heart. I don't try to separate people based on that. And then I know some atheists but I guess the commonality that I look for is that there is a willingness to have a dialogue and not use their belief as a shield for what they really think, or to substitute for conscience. If they're not feeling what they're thinking, or if they're feeling in a way that is, I think, exclusive as opposed to inclusive, that tends to push away rather than to bring together. Those are really the factors that are important to me when I'm making friends with somebody. Are you someone who wants to pull together, even though maybe you don't want to? Or are you the type of person who feels more comfortable pushing away and bathing yourself in a protective layer of hate? I can't abide that. But anyway, so I had a good day yesterday, and I think contributed to my good day this morning. In the friend-making department. And so you need to observe over a period of time, and you need to find these sort of testing scenarios with which to, suss out, where you're standing. In terms of, what do people believe? What do they like? Why do they like those things? Can we get along? One of the interesting parts of the conversation was, we actually got into a discussion about how do you pronounce GIF? See, I just said GIF, and there's a lot of people who say GIF. Because it's graphics interchange format, not giraffe interchange format. And it's just you can pick any arbitrary thing. And then I had to pull the old man card, though, and say, well, back in 1987, back when I was doing graphics, I remember when, the GIF, CompuServe GIF format came out. Now I'm saying GIF because I'm all screwed up. Anyway, it doesn't matter, but but we could agree to disagree on it and not hate each other, which was a good sign. So, is there anything else I want to talk about? Oh yeah, I got these. This is a first little bit of show and tell. Got this. Let's go to split screen view, and this is a cat, and this is the Polaroid Originals Spectrafilm. Polaroid Originals used to be known as by the Impossible Project name. And the Impossible Project was bringing back Polaroid film because Polaroid itself went bankrupt years ago, and all the film technology has been lost. And these people have tried to recreate it so you can reuse these old Polaroid cameras. This is a Polaroid Spectra camera, which was their wide format, from what I understand. And I'd forgotten where I got this from. I think I mentioned this a few days ago. And then my friend Alan, who used to work with me at Qualia, the startup game company in Somerville that we were at, reminded me, wasn't that Qualia gear? Wasn't this something that was there? And then suddenly I kind of started to remember things. And then last night I remembered that actually buying this with Mark. It was the guy in charge of the company. We were like 3 or 4 people at the time. And I remember this thing it actually wasn't that expensive. I think it was like $34 or something like that. We bought it at Caldor or some place like that that's out of business. I think this came in a shrink wrapped package, like just like a blister pack hanging on the wall. So it's not a hugely expensive camera. You can get these on eBay for I think like $20. The film costs more than that. I think this is an 8-pack. This is an 8-pack film thing, and I think this costs it's like $16 or something like that. There's only 8. There's only 8 in here. It's like ISO 6 or ASA 640. The photos develop much slower than the original formulation because, again, that formulation has been lost or is patented or something like that. It takes 10 to 15 minutes to develop. But still, there's something about these things, the analog part of it. And I'm going to have to actually get the old film out of this. There's 25-year-old film in this camera, and apparently it's still good, but the battery pack is dead, so it won't advance. The battery pack is used to run the flash and run the mechanism of the camera. It's built into the pack. But I'm told that once you use these 8 shots, you can actually reuse the cartridge and reload the old film into this if it's pitch dark. And so I'm going to have to extract the film when it's pitch dark, put it in a box so it stays pitch dark, use up this thing eventually, and then try to swap them out and see if I can preserve some of the original film. So that's a project for another day. Probably not today. But I think that's it for that. So how long have I been streaming this thing? 17 minutes. Okay, so let's give this another 5 or 6 minutes. I see someone is watching. Hello, somebody. It always kind of surprises me and embarrasses me when I realize someone is actually watching me do this. Because what is this? This isn't exactly a show. It's not really entertainment. It's just me spewing my mouth off. In a way, I guess it's kind of practice for doing something more considered. But let's go through the planning stuff. Let me switch to aux view. And this might be a problem. We're having a technical difficulty here. Cat, you are creating a conflict. All right, I guess we'll try to work around them. So anyway, let me move this in a little bit more. And can I get this some more light? Okay. So, today is Thursday, November 30th. And today what I wanted to work on was the Thotomata project, which is my blog system I was mentioning earlier. And I actually spent 2 hours on that. So that was great. So I was probably there from 6:30, 7, 8, 9, 9:30 is when I went to the supermarket. So this was all Thotomata. And there's I've been trying to figure out a new symbol for designating things that are work-related, and I've been taking to filling in these last 2 rows with a kind of hash pattern. Although it's maybe using colors would be better. So I'm going to check that off. Clear the standing desk. That's this whole thing in front of me. I haven't done that. That's next. But when I got back, then I went grocery shopping. And then I ate lunch, or an early lunch. / early lunch. And then actually I was kind of sleepy. I did wake up, kind of early. I was up at 5:45 a.m. Oh, I forgot to write down my habits from the other day. Where are my where's my acetate sheet? Here. These are the to-dos. But the habits themselves, I wrote them down here. There's water, diet, and sleep. Seeing if there's anything else here that I can do. I did deposit those checks. That's great. Cross those off. Did I play the dermatologist? I thought I did. They did drop off the registration form. That's good. I am working on Thetomata. I didn't do any of these things. Paying the printer will happen next week once the money flows back into the payables account. Pay property tax. I haven't done that. Renewed the card registration. I did do that. Haven't renewed my CCL. I did confirm I paid estimated taxes, but I should make sure that it's the correct amount. I think that's so. This is good. These are everything that's on my plate. Let me look yesterday and see. No, so you can see from 4 p.m. on, I was working on. This is the socializing stuff. This was some Thought-O-Mata stuff. Thought-O-Mata. That's a pun on automata. So the idea is to automate my thought lab notebook stuff. See if there's clearing the standing desk is next. Right now, I napped, and I was back up around 2 p.m. Oh, it's a Gutchapreneur. Hey, dude, what's up? Back from more work. Background noise. Excellent. What are you guys working on? Let's see. Make a slash here. So it's nap. Oh, here's my napping symbol. Let's call this 2 p.m. It's 3:30 p.m. now. I mopped the floor. That was actually a big deal. It looks nice now, but I only mopped half of it because the other half has a giant TV on it that I have to set up. There's some things to do too. 3 p.m. So if it's 3 p.m. now, whoops. Okay, I'm almost out of time here. It was 3:25 p.m. I started streaming around then, so stream. I guess I should put stream here. That was an important thing. Mopped floor. What did I do here? I did, I don't remember. I think it was probably social media stuff. And so I'm going to make my cloud symbols here. These cloud symbols, when I make these swirly marks in here, that means is I'm doing something that's kind of distracted. And so it shows up as I can see in my schedule, if there's a hard line of, that means I was being focused. If there's all this fuzzy stuff here, then I wasn't. And then I guess this is just regular stuff that happened. But yeah. Oh, there was something I wanted to talk about, but I'll make a note for it for tomorrow, which is to talk about on Next Wood. I want to talk about the 50 to 100 foot view. So over in the co-working chat room, we've been talking about in the studio room. The idea of making a set of forms that tracks the big picture view in context with the little things. The idea is more of a motivational, motivational / organizational tracking system. And yesterday we were talking a little bit about it, about how there's a difference between junior level tasking and director level tasking. The junior level mindset is more of okay, I have a bunch of tasks to do that have been predefined for me, I just need to get them done. Whereas the director level task is when you have a more nebulous goal. For me, it's to improve my e-commerce setup, or to develop community relationships to strengthen my base of whatever. So those those tasks are more uncertain, and when you're doing the smaller tasks in relation to them, some of them are explorative, some of them are personal development. They're not direct tasks you tick off. So is there a way to maintain that big picture view of like strategically which direction do you want to be headed in, and also managing to capture the details of what you did to get there in some sort of log? So, and I'm not maybe describing it quite right. If you go into the co-working chat room and go to the, what room is it? Let me move this thing over here so we can look at it. It's in this in studio chat. This is where we've been talking about it, me and Susan. Also a little bit in, I think, Lyceum. We were talking about our productivity systems. So, now I want to talk about the 50 to 100 foot view, because today was a particularly productive day. In that I felt that I got some important stuff done. It was like really kind of code related stuff. I was just, on one level, it was like really basic stuff, like how do I read the contents of this file and then break it up into sections so I can process it into into other multiple files. But that's part of an overall goal to make this blogging system that has a workflow, that has all these nice features that are important to me when in an authoring system. But if I'm in the 1,000, 10,000, 40,000 foot view, and I see the shape of the system, that's helpful for knowing kind of what I want to do. But it's not as helpful as being in like, well, okay, I tended to think of it in two ways, like either the big view, picture view, or you're in the detail view. I think there's a middle view that works better for me, and that's the mode I was in today, which was I was kind of rising a little bit above the task level view, not completely out of the scene, out of the action, but above it so I could kind of monitor it, but not be concerned about all the big picture stuff, which represents months of work. I could just see, to use a metaphor like American football, I could see how the play was evolving and how it came out, as opposed to being in the level view. I am the quarterback, and I am going to throw this screenplay to receiver number 34 out there on in the optional route, whatever. Which is how I was tending to think of tasks. I need to implement an algorithm to do blah 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 blah, and then I work out like the details. But being in the 50 to 100 foot view, it's like the camera view, and like if you're watching an American football game, you can see the action. That might be the view I want to cultivate. So sort of like a little slightly higher level tactical view, as opposed to a purely an execution model, if that makes sense. So I want to talk about that again tomorrow. We'll just close this thing off today. I want to see what Guitarpreneur says. He's taking a late lunch break right about now. Back for new work. Deer hunting. Oh, excellent. Oh, I've never had venison. I live in New Hampshire, so there must be some place where I can find someone who can get that. I wonder if it tastes good. Let's see. You got to put the CD as sounds for an upcoming church play and get some video. And it sounds like a productive media day. Nice. Thanks for your OBS layout vid. Never knew you could do so much with it. I've already credited on someone layout. Oh, that's great. Awesome. I'll check out your page later on and see what you've done with it. Did you see this thing? Which was my... I don't think I had this in the video. This is my... Yeah, it's stuck. It's just stuck. This is the thing I'm using for switching. I seem to have broken it. No! What did I... Oh, because this menu popped down. This is like a 50-key MIDI controller that I'm using some software on the Mac called ControllerMate to map these things into the hot presses. It's like getting one of those... who makes that thing? That $149 little miniature screen from the guys, I think it's Elgato makes it. What's it called? Venison is a very lean meat. You make jerky out of it? What's this Elgato Stream Play, is it? Elgato Stream Play? What is that? Stream Deck, that's what it's called. The Stream Deck. I'm kind of tempted to get one of these, but that's $149, and I don't really need to spend the money on it. And I'm not sure if it will work with OBS quite the way, because the Elgato stuff doesn't always seem to integrate well, at least on the Macintosh side of things. If you're using PC, it's probably fine. But look at it. It glows. It's got little... Are those all little mini OLED screens? That's probably why it costs $149. Anyway, I digress. So I'm going to get to work. I've got this stuff going on. I'm going to now do the next part of my to-dos, which is to clear all the stuff on the PC side of things, move it out of the way so that I can move the Macintosh stuff off, and then I can put the big TV on this table and see if it works or not. And then also get access to the wall behind all this stuff and figure out like where to put the mount. Ow! This is the cat jumping on me with his sharp little claws. Say goodbye, kitty.
Goodbye, kitty. Bye.
All right. So that's it for tonight. Thanks for watching, and I hope you have a productive day. Oh. Wait 10 seconds. Oop. Deer jerky. I'll have to look for that. Waiting 10 seconds so if I can stop the stream. You are so loud.